Welcome to It Can Get Better Than This. I'm Dr. Cindy Byler,
And I'm Heather Hodge. And today we're doing our second part on conflict resolution.
and this one we're going to call Bottom Line.
Ooh, bottom line.
Bottom
Period.
line. So, we're going to do a little bit of review from the last episode first.
Okay.
It's one of the difficulties that people have in conflict resolution is the defensiveness from the person being confronted. And that's one of the reasons most people do not like conflict resolution because they don't want to feel shame, the guilt, the fear, anxiety, whatever, all of the D, all of the above. I guess that would be E, all of the above. All the emotions that they're feeling at the time when they're being confronted about something that is bothering the other person because it feels like we've done something wrong, and where's this going to go? Is this going to damage the relationship?
Right.
And sometimes there's a sense of shame to it as well because it can be made about who we are, but we can also do that to ourselves and not about what we've done or something that needs to be changed. The person being confronted might feel criticized or attacked and use defense mechanisms to counter it
Mm-hmm.
so that they can shift the blame from themselves to the other person. And so that's another reason why people don't enjoy conflict resolution is because there's times that you don't feel like you can ever get your issue addressed. The person that you're talking to about it deflects it, changes it to something you're doing wrong instead.
Yeah.
Or something that you do that bothers them. So you can never really address the issue.
Puts you in that you can never be wrong kind of feeling.
Right. So it can feel like you can never bring something up because that issue never gets addressed because the other person is pointing out your faults and the things that you do that bother them. And so nothing ever really gets fixed. It can look like big emotions
Mm-hmm.
in conflict resolution because there's feelings on both sides that are coming out that are part of the issue and sometimes underneath the issue. Like I talked about shame or guilt or anxiety or fear of losing the relationship, fear of abandonment. So there's a lot that goes into talking about things that are bothering each other. So these behaviors cause not behaviors. The big emotions, the deflecting can cause the focus to come off of the issue and go to each other personally, and it can become an attack. So, like I talked about last time, you want to start with a soft start and be gentle. Remember that either you're working to be on a team together, that's the goal, or you are already partners and you're on a team or you're in a closer relationship that you're working on together. So this is about the two of you and not one of you winning or losing, but about the two of you resolving a conflict within the relationship so you can have a stronger, healthier relationship.
Being on the same team.
Yes, being on the same team. And that is crucial, especially in this day and age where it feels like there's so much anger and fear coming out
Right.
on all sides, that our close relationships are on Team Cindy or Team Heather or Team Cindy and Heather.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, very crucial. So the first thing I talked about was the soft startup and using I statements within that startup. And then talking about how this problem makes you feel and describe the situation at hand. So last time we talked about Heather not cleaning up the kitchen after she cooked. And I told her that I feel frustrated. There's the I statement and the emotion that I'm feeling when and then I'm going to talk about the issue when you don't clean up the kitchen after you've cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it would be, could you please address what would help fix the problem?
Right.
And make that very concise and specific.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Right. Right.
Yeah, not difficult or complicated, but it would really help me if you could clean up the kitchen after you've cooked dinner.
Yeah.
And then you would say, what I hear you saying.
What I hear you saying is you want me to clean up after myself when I've cooked.
Right.
Or, in a more realistic situation, it could turn back into, oh, so you say that I don't pick up after, like, I never pick up after myself, or, oh, you think that I'm just a slob, or you think that I'm this, or you think that I'm that, and it can spiral from there.
Yes, and that's exactly what happens is it spirals from there. It's not going in a straight line where you're going back and forth resolving the conflict. Now it's just spinning out of control.
Right. And if you've been angry about something like this for a long time, the temptation is, well, yes, I do, but I wasn't going to say that. I was just going to say, you know, I'd like you to pick up after yourself when you're in the kitchen. But as a matter of fact, yes, you are a slob. It can
Right.
really spiral quickly from
Right.
there, especially if you've been angry for a long time.
Yes.
In fact, I'd also like you to pick up your clothes and I'd like you to do this. You don't do anything around here. It can
Right.
it can get out of hand
Yeah.
really quickly.
And it's those big emotions that really get us
Yeah.
because we've held on to them. We've not talked about it until it's become a monster issue rather than a little baby issue.
Yeah.
A big monster
Well,
rather
there
than a
might
little
be a,
baby.
a dormant monster just waiting to be awoken too,
Yes. Yes.
especially if you've addressed some of these several times. So, what do you recommend on how to get rid of that monster?
Okay, well, so I have a great strategy
Okay.
called bottom line.
Yes.
So in my head, I've talked about writing a book and I want to do I'm a great artist, great artist. And I want to do like stick figure drawings. And I was going to do a line
Hmm.
and the little bottom sitting on the line for bottom line.
Oh, I like it.
So it kind of
Okay.
helps you remember it too. So because emotions get high and um, our tendency is to deflect, to defend, to do anything we can so that we're not feeling bad about ourselves. We need to come in there knowing what we're talking about with the other person. So, what is the issue that you are asking to be changed, and how does it need to be changed? And you need to have that bottom line. This is the bottom line of what I want to talk about. I want to talk to Heather about can she just please clean up the kitchen, clean up her little pot and pan and her silverware and her plate when she's done with it. That was the bottom line of this conflict. It isn't about any other chores. It isn't about Heather being a slob. Heather's not a slob. It isn't it isn't about anything else. It's not about who takes the dogs out, who gets wakes up with the baby. It's about can you please just clean up your dishes when you've cooked?
Yeah. So, like, do one thing at a time then if there's a bigger issue.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
many times we need one thing at a time. You also find that if you start with something like the dishes, the other person, if it's handled well and they, oh, okay, and they understand, like, I don't want bugs. We live in southeast Georgia and we're in tropical rainforest time and I'm afraid we're going to have bugs. Or I like to start the day with a clean kitchen, and I cleaned it last night before I went to bed. And I like to start with, so I don't have to clean up before I start cooking everybody's breakfast, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Understanding like what's behind some of that helps.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds really simple to have a bottom line, but I found it to be a real key in managing difficult conversations that you can easily find yourself lost in. Some people, unfortunately, are I call them bulldozers
Yeah.
or bus drivers,
Yeah.
and
But, like,
they're a more dominant personality.
it's like more like a monster truck bus, though.
Yes. Well, you have different personalities. Some people are just a bus driver, honk honk, and they don't mean to run over you. They have kids on the bus,
Yeah.
and then you have a bulldozer, where that's their whole job is to bulldoze everything. But
The only thing they know.
right,
Yeah.
so and then you have the monster truck, where to me that is like a mega bulldozer. So like they're the kind that they see a bear and they like make themselves as big as possible.
Yeah.
And they do that in their conflict too. They have to feel like they're in control and they're intimidating. So there's different levels of these personalities. And I've also found that most people are not aware that they're actually doing this.
Mm.
So it is something that they've learned either in growing up or it's part of their personality to be that way. And nobody said, hey, this is not a good way to resolve conflict. But you'll also find that they're kind of that way, not just in conflict, but in everyday life, because they're such a dominant personality. On the disc, they would be called a D, where they're a dominant personality. They're drivers. They're the ones that are CEOs of companies a lot of times, and they're going to get the job done, but they need a soft edge. And
Yeah,
remember that there's people involved in these things too.
because it could be at the expense of everybody else,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. So this is where I have found this to be very helpful, is especially with somebody that is a bus driver, a bulldozer, or a monster truck,
Yeah,
is to know what my bottom line is. It also helps when you know that emotions are going to be high. Like talking about cleaning up the kitchen, the emotions should not be high, but you don't really know what's underneath that conversation.
right. Because it could be feeling taken for granted, or
Hmm.
in that particular situation. For others, it could be feeling like the other person doesn't care.
Right, right. And it could be for that person that they've heard messages that they're a slob or that they don't care and they don't feel that way. So there might be defensiveness under there that doesn't seem reasonable for just asking them to clean up the kitchen, but makes a lot of sense when you know the underlying story.
Yeah,
And having these big emotions underneath does not mean that the issue should not be discussed. You should be heard and respected in your relationships, and you should also hear and respect in relationships, especially the ones that are closest to you. And those are the ones that we had the most problems with because they're more in our daily lives. If they're living with us, our lives interact in
hmm,
ways that they don't interact with anybody else in the whole world. And those are the relationships that we often take for granted easier and that we solve conflict less with, or what would be a better word? We solve conflict
less frequently,
less
or
frequently, but not less healthy,
oh, okay,
more unhealthy in a more unhealthy way because we're feel like we're fighting for ourselves because our lives depend on each other. If
gotcha.
that makes
So the
sense.
stakes are higher.
The stakes are, yeah, that's a good way. And if we don't feel like we're on a team and that the other person doesn't have my best interest at heart, it keeps defensiveness up
Yeah,
through conflict. So that makes it more difficult.
especially in a domestic situation, because um like when you're married or when you're living with your partner, it really is you two,
Yes.
and the only other person in the world that you're bringing these issues to, or that you're handling these
Hmm.
issues with, is your partner. So
Right.
not having that, I'm sure that can feel like your entire life is just not safe
Yes. Yeah.
or not stable.
So it's really important to work on the respect and being heard in the relationship. Um, Make sure that your bottom line is concise and easy to remember. So my bottom line would be very easily, please clean up the kitchen after you have cooked for yourself. If you need to write it down on your phone or on a piece of paper so that it's with you when you're talking to the person, because the bottom line is there so that you can go back to the issue when there's rabbit trails going on or when the big emotions come up. So, okay, this is what I meant. This is where we're talking about, and continue to bring it back to the bottom line.
Yeah,
This is not what I was talking about. Can we address one issue at a time? Can you please clean up the kitchen? All I'm asking is if you can clean up the kitchen when you're done cooking.
right. And it's not saying like we'll never take care of what the other person is talking about. It's saying we can only do one at a time. Right now we need to focus on this one.
Yes.
I'm not negating what you're saying. I'm saying, can we please get through this issue? Can you please take care of your dishes or
Right.
after you've cooked?
Right. Right. A part of this is also making sure that you address the bottom line calmly. So when the emotions get high and like try to take some deep breaths and go back to, okay, this is my bottom line. This is one I want to address. Do it calmly. And you might need to pause a minute for that person to calm down so that you can go back to the what the bottom line is, what this particular discussion is about. Again, it's very helpful to have a therapist, a counselor, somebody that can help guide the conversation so that if you're used to interrupting each other, if you're used to deflecting,
You have a referee.
you have a referee. Someone, wait a second, like that person didn't stop talking, you just interrupted. And yes, having somebody in that room so that they can help you in the moment have that conversation so that you can start practicing how to do it better.
Yeah.
It really helps a lot to have a, a therapist that can work with you in that situation.
Hmm. So if you're already angry in these situations, why stay calm? What is the benefit? What's the reason and the point on staying calm in those?
We've talked about in our stretchy brain and in our first episode about neuropathways about how our brain operates. When we are feeling negative emotions, strong negative emotions, our chemicals, the chemicals in our brain flood to our limbic system, which is our emotional system, and our R complex, the reptilian complex, which is our instincts, our fight, flight.
Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
I cannot say that. Why do they all have to be similar in F's?
Yeah.
And so when we are not managing that emotion, then they're flooding to those parts of our brains, which leaves our prefrontal cortex, which is this part of our brain,
Hmm.
which is where our logic and reason capabilities come in. So we're being flooded with the emotion and we're in instinctual mode, but we're not thinking. So we want to balance it out so that we can think and feel at the same time. It's okay to feel the emotions. Of course, I'm going to feel angry because like this is the 15th time you've done this, and okay, I'm sorry that this is the first time I've actually told you to clean up after the kitchen. But it's okay to feel the emotion, but staying calm helps you to be able to first of all get the emotion, get the chemicals so that there's a balance between your prefrontal cortex and the other two parts of your brain so that you can think and feel at the same time so that you can keep track of this is where I want the conversation to go. This is what we're addressing this time. The other thing it does is it helps the other person to lower their defenses, hopefully, so that they can hear what you're saying, understand it, and be receptive.
Mm.
Because when you're angry and you're not calm, and especially if you start raising your voice, which most of us do when we're upset in some way, then the person's walls, the defense mechanisms go up.
Yeah, they don't want to hear anything you have to say after
Right.
that.
And everything it is good to do everything you can do to help the other person keep their defense mechanisms down, keep that wall down so that there can be a two-way conversation and it's not just about, oh, you think I'm terrible, or there's a lot of um, deflecting going on within the conversation. So being calm helps the conversation.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it helps you stay calm and it helps them to stay calm or find calmness. And that is not easy to do. And it takes a lot of practice. But changing your neural pathways, which is one of the reasons that is so vital to understand, changing neural pathways is so helpful.
Yeah.
And so that we can face difficult emotions, difficult challenges in our lives, but be able to think through them as well so that we can be who we want to be.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
think that's a bottom line in any relationship is I want to be who I want to be. I want to be calm. I want to be myself. I want to say the things that I'll look back on later and be proud that I said
Yeah.
and the way that I said them. I don't want what I'm feeling or what the other person is saying back to me to change who I want to be and how I'm acting.
Right. Right. Okay.
So it's also good to know that there's a strong possibility that you will have to continually focus the conversation back to the bottom line.
Right. It's not a one and done thing. It's kind of more of an anchor to your
Yeah.
conversation. It's
Yes.
the boat's going to go up, it's going to go back, it's going to go back and forth,
Right.
and
Here's the wave. Here's a big one.
but
Right.
the anchor is the bottom line is the anchor that's meant to you're supposed to pull it back to that and
Right.
say, "No, I'm saying it again. I just want you to clean the kitchen after you're done cooking." And you say that same sentence even over and over again. I just want you to clean the kitchen after you're done cooking.
Right. 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 I'm not saying anything about you as a person. I just want you to do this task. It would
Right.
really help me a lot if you could do this task. Most people are not taught how to have a good conversation and how to resolve conflict within relationships. So it's good to start learning the skills and work on the skills within yourself first before you start pointing out to the other person, like, you do this wrong in conflict
Yeah.
resolution. It's better to go, I've learned how to do this, and I'd like to talk about how we can resolve conflict better
Right.
and start learning together, teaching each other what works when the two of you resolve conflict together, or the three or four of you, depending on what the situation is. I'm thinking of college roommates sitting down and talking about it, a situation that's going on in a dorm. But having that bottom line, I found, makes all the difference. So that is our talk today.
We'll be delving more into conflict resolution.
Oh, definitely.
Not just with this, even this season. I think we go into it a few more times. Maybe one more this season, but I think we're going to keep going
Yes.
with it.
Next week, we're going to be talking about
Anger management.
anger management.
Oh, yay.
That's part of conflict resolution too. So that will really help while you're dealing with anger and managing your anger within a conflict and within your relationships.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be good.
So we hope you have a great week.
Bye. Thank you.